Hey guys, this is God of Politics and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description. But in today's video, I'm going to be doing quite an interesting video, I think, and that is the 2020 election map if the polls are as off as the 2016 election were. So one of the most infamous things of the 2016 election is that the polls were quite off, that the polls, especially in the Rust Belt, underperformed Donald Trump, and that is one of the reasons why he pulled off such an upset victory. We're going to be doing the election map if the polls have the same problems they did. They underperformed Donald Trump just as much as they did in 2016. And we're going to be seeing what the map looks like. Does Joe Biden win? Does Joe Biden lose? Does Joe Biden win by a landslide? Does not Joe Biden lose by a landslide? We're just going to be going through each one of these states and seeing who would win. So first off, we'll start on the west here, the state of Nevada. If we go to the state of Nevada for the 2020 election results, currently Joe Biden is up by 4% in the aggregate. If we go to the 2016 results, Hillary Clinton was down 0.8% to Donald Trump. She ended up winning by 2.4%. That means she did 3.2% better than the RCP average showed. And under that logic, 3.2 plus 4% would equal 7%, meaning that Joe Biden would win the state of Nevada by a likely margin here, which is actually quite an interesting result. The next state is going to be the state of Arizona here. Arizona is a state that Donald Trump barely won in 2016 after it trended towards the Democratic column as opposed to 2012. The 2016 results had Donald Trump winning by 4. He ended up winning by 3.5. He underperformed the polls by 0.5 percentage points. Under that same logic in which Joe Biden is winning by 3.4 percentage points, now he would win by 3.9 percentage points, pushing the state of Arizona into the lean Democratic column here. Now going next to the state of Colorado here. Colorado is a state that's been trending towards the Democratic column for quite a while. We have one poll showing that Joe Biden is up by 10 percentage points here. In 2016, Hillary Clinton underperformed the polls by 2 percentage points here, which would actually push Colorado into the safe column, which I don't think will happen. It has a very liberally skewed electorate, but that is what the polling data is saying if we are doing the same logic as 2016, which is what some people have been doing here. The state of New Mexico shows Clinton underperforming the polls by 3.3 percentage points. There was one poll in January showing Joe Biden up by 8 percentage points here, which would actually push New Mexico again into the safe Democratic column here. As for the state of Texas, which is quite an interesting one, again, for some of these states, we need more polling, which I assume we will get come November, but we'll go on to the next state, which is the state of Texas here, which actually underperformed Hillary Clinton by 3 points in 2016. Donald Trump is currently up by 2.2, meaning that under this logic, Joe Biden would win by 0.8 percentage points, which would put Texas into the tilt Democratic column, putting the Democratic candidate Joe Biden already at 252 electoral votes here, which would be something crazy to see if Joe Biden was able to win Texas, which I really think is highly unlikely to happen. But that is what the polling data is saying. In the state of Georgia, Donald Trump underperformed the polls by 0.3 percentage points in 2016, or in 2020, sorry. Donald Trump is currently winning by 7.5%, so this is a good news for him. He would actually be winning by 7.8 percentage points, pushing the state of Georgia into the likely column here. The next state is the state of Florida, a state where the polls were actually quite good in the state of year of 2016, the election of 2016 here. In 2016, Donald Trump was projected to win the state by 0.2 percentage points. He ended up winning by 1.2 percentage points here. Currently, Joe Biden is winning by 3.4%, meaning that he would win under that same logic by 2.4 percentage points, which would put this state into the lean Democratic column here, which is actually quite an interesting result, as it usually does go to the incumbent candidate. 2020, the state of North, actually will go to Virginia first because it clicked on Virginia, currently has Joe Biden up by 9.7 percentage points here. The polling data for the state of Virginia in 2016 with Tim Kaine as the running mate actually underperformed Hillary Clinton by 0.4 percentage points, which would actually make this 10.1 percentage points to the Democrats, pushing the state of Virginia into the safe Democratic column. After Florida, actually, Joe Biden passed the threshold for electoral votes, pushing him to 281 here. We haven't even gotten to the Midwest or Rust Belt yet. For the state of North Carolina, it does have Donald Trump up by 0.3% against Joe Biden here in 2016. So in 2016, we can see that Donald Trump actually underperformed the polls by 2.7, which would mean that Donald Trump would win by 3 percentage points, pushing this into the lean column for the Democrats here. The next state we'll go up into the Northeast here is Maine at large. Maine allocates their delegates proportionally, or not proportionally, by district, and it goes by district here. And so for the state of Maine, it underperformed Hillary Clinton by 1.6 percentage points. Under that logic, it would go by a likely margin due to the fact that the average here is around 10, putting Maine at large in the likely column here. The next state is the state of New Hampshire here. New Hampshire is a state in which currently the polls are showing Joe Biden winning by 4.6 percentage points. The polls in 2016 overperformed Hillary Clinton by 0.3, which would make this a lean margin state for Joe Biden, which I actually do agree with. I agree with some of these states, not all of them, but I agree with some of them. The next state will actually go to the state of Ohio here. Ohio is a state in which Donald Trump was projected to win, but the polls were quite off. Currently, the polls are actually showing a 1-point Biden win in the state of Ohio, which is actually quite interesting here. In 2016, the polls did have Donald Trump winning, but they had him winning a lot less. They had him winning by 3.5. They ended up winning by 8.1, which is a 4.6% difference. In that case, Ohio would go by a lean margin to Donald Trump here. Next, we'll go to the state of Iowa here. Iowa is also a state that has trended to the Republican column along with the state of Ohio here, and it's actually been quite an interesting state to see trend to the Republican column. I don't think Democrats are going to do too well here, as in 2016, Donald Trump underperformed the polls by 6.5 percentage points. Currently, it has Donald Trump up by 4.6, which would actually make the state of Iowa a safe margin state. Now, this is an interesting state here. If we go up to the state of Michigan, the next state here, we have one recent poll that was from Star Tribune Mason-Dixon showing Joe Biden up by 5 percentage points. The poll before that had him up by 12. Joe Biden's actually gone down 7 percentage points since then, which is not too worrying for Joe Biden. But if we actually do compare to the state of Minnesota in 2016, there wasn't much polling data out of that state because it was seen as a state that Hillary Clinton would win quite easily. It actually underperformed Clinton by, 7 percentage points. And while there isn't much polling data so far, I'm actually going to put this as tilt Republican here. So that's actually quite an interesting result to see there. Now we have those three states that it always comes down to in these election predictions. Currently, Joe Biden's at 300 electoral votes. Donald Trump is at 192 electoral votes. If we go first to the state of Wisconsin here, we can see that in the state of Wisconsin, the polls are currently showing Joe Biden up by 3.4 percentage points there. If we go to the state of Wisconsin in 2016, the state where the polls were most off in terms of these battleground states, Donald Trump overperformed the polls by 7.2 percentage points, which is insane. Under that logic, 7.2 percentage points here, if we just do the math here, Donald Trump would actually win the state of Wisconsin by a lean margin, which is quite interesting. I don't think the polls will be as off as they were in 2016 from the state of Wisconsin, but they could be off, which is why the state of Wisconsin could easily go to Donald Trump here. The next state will go to the state of Michigan. If we go to the state of Michigan here, we can see that Donald Trump overperformed the polls by 3.7% here. If we look at the 2020 polls from the state of Michigan, we can see here that Donald Trump is currently down by 7.3 percentage points here after that new poll came out showing Biden up by 12. So in this case, in 2016, Donald Trump overperformed them by 3.7 here. This would push Michigan into the lean Democratic column here, which would be a good result for Joe Biden here. And if we go to the state of Pennsylvania here, Donald Trump is currently down 3.3% to Biden. It would be a bit more, but there was a new poll that I disagreed a lot with, showing Joe Biden up in North Carolina, but down in Pennsylvania, but up in Florida, but down in Arizona. So that was quite a weird poll. In 2016, the results overperformed Hillary Clinton by 2.6 percentage points. Currently, Joe Biden is up by 3.3, which would make this a tilt Democratic state. So that is the overall map here. 336 electoral votes for Joe Biden and his running mate, and 202 electoral votes for Donald Trump and Mike Pence here. So this is actually quite an interesting result. Even if you take out Texas, because Texas is probably not going to go to the Democrats, Joe Biden is still at 298 electoral votes to the Republicans' 240 electoral votes here. And so what this shows is that people who point to the fact saying, I don't trust the polls, look at 2016, even if you use the same logic that the polls are going to be as off as they were in 2016, Joe Biden still wins in a landslide. And one of the interesting things you're seeing is that in areas like the Sun Belt, the polls actually overestimate Republicans. States like Nevada, states like Arizona, states like New Mexico, states like even Texas and Georgia, which we will, I think, inevitably see later. But in the Rust Belt, they underestimate Republicans, which is what we saw in 2016, which is what we probably will see come 2020. But what this does show is that polling data does show good signs for Democrats, and it shows that even if the polling data is as off as it was in 2016, Democrats will probably still win, which shows the not insurmountable, it's surmountable, but Donald Trump's going to have to take a lot of work to be able to do it. So thank you all for watching this video. It was quite an interesting video to make because it shows something that's very important. Polling data is very important. While you may say that it's wrong, even if it is wrong, it could still point to a victory for either side. So thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, join the Discord that is linked down in the description. So again, guys, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys later.